and welcome to another card project. I'm Janet, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little Valentine's Day card that any child in your life can use at a Valentine's Day party that they're going to attend. Now, Valentines by nature are small, like this. This is only a total dimension of 4.5 by 3.5, but they're also tend to have some cute kitty images, and you normally have to have a lot of them. That's why we buy them at the grocery store in packs of 25 or 30. And frankly, the idea of stamping something like this and coloring 25, 30 images is just really overwhelming. And it's not something most of us are going to do because we just don't have time. What I want to show you today is how to get around that and mass produce these cards in a third of the time, maybe even less once you get the hang of it. The way this works is we stamp and color one image, and then it's scanned into a electronic file. In this case, I scanned this in a 300 DPI scanner and saved it as a PNG graphic, and then used that to import it into my Silhouette Design Studio software, and from there I could mass produce these by printing and then cutting them with my Silhouette portrait machine. So let's talk about the initial image and where it comes from. My image for the pirate came from this Stampin' Up set called Hey Valentine. Really cute child set. This is a few years old, but I love it for Valentine's Day. I also made several of these Hey Valentine, glad you're in my school cards with this, doing the same technique, and I'll show you that one. Also very cute. So how do we accomplish making multiple cards with only one image? Well, it's pretty simple. What you start with is you stamp the image onto a nice quality cardstock that's used specifically for alcohol ink use. That way you'll get a really nice image when you're ready to proceed. Once you've got your image colored like I did here, then you can scan it and save it as a file and bring it into your software. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. Okay, here we are in our Silhouette Studio Designer Edition. This is the software you need to purchase to get more features than what comes with the machine, and I highly recommend it. What I've done so far is I've scanned the stamped image that I colored of the pirate. I saved it as a 300 DPI, and then I cropped it. Now I saved it as a PNG file, and the reason I like the PNG is because you can make it larger or smaller and it doesn't decrease the quality of the image, and that's going to be important because I'm going to be enlarging this Valentine pirate quite a bit from its original size. So I'm going to bring it in. I have placed it and saved it in my pictures file. You see it's quite small, but that's okay. We're going to make it bigger. We're going to actually make it as big as we need it. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle. Draw the rectangle any old size. I don't care right now because I'll size it exactly how I want. To get this hash mark off, I will hit escape, and now I can select this again. And then I will go to the scale window. I click off lock aspect because again I want to control the size. It's going to be 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall. Hit apply. And now we know that's the size of the mat that we're going to be working with our pirate. I'm going to take the zoom tool and lasso it. Now I can see it much better. And I will proceed to make this bigger so that I kind of have an idea of the space I have left to put the to and the from in. Now to get the to and the from placed on here, I'm going to use the text tool, as you might have guessed. I'm going to write to and put in some underline marks there. Obviously that's the wrong font and the wrong color and the wrong size, so we're going to change all of that. First of all, we'll put in the text, which I want Bradley Hand ITC. The text size I'm going to move down to 30, not 301, but 30. And then finally I'm going to change the color by going up to the line color window here and changing it to black. Looks good. moving it approximately to where I think it's going to go. This will change as I work through this, but for now that's okay. We'll put that 2 in there. Now I want to point out, of course, this looks a little strange. We've got hash marks on the underline, and then you can see the white and the black separated in the 2. But that's only because we're looking at this in such a large size. Once we actually print this, you know, it's going to be much, much smaller, and you will not see any of that white or the hash mark that you see in this image on screen. So don't worry about it. Again, I know from experience that Bradley ITC works pretty good for that. Now to make my from, I'm going to highlight the 2, hit Control C, click off, and Control V as in victory will paste. And I'm going to just go in here and now change the 2 to from. And obviously I need to decrease my lines because it's a longer word and therefore I have less room for my underline. Put it in here. I'm going to move my 2 down here. Kind of even up my lines so it looks nice, and leave enough room too for little fingers to write names because they write big. And then now I know I have some additional room to make my pirate even bigger. And don't worry that the edges of the graphic are going over the edge of your rectangle. It's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And voila. Now we need to lasso this so that I can group it all together, and I just do that by going up to the corner, hitting my left mouse key and dragging across all of it. Now what that's done is selected my pirate, it's selected 2 and from, and it's also selected my rectangle. To group, I right click now and hit group. And now you see I have one graphic. It's now at a point where I can copy and paste as many of these as I can fit on my page, and that's how we're going to mass produce it. So we're ready now to set up our print function. And in order to do that, I'm going to zoom out again so you can see the mat. And I'm going to set up my registration marks, which are important for the ability to print, and then cut in the right place. So I will go up to the registration marks window. I'm going to choose type 1 Cameo Portrait because I have a portrait, and portrait is only going to do 8.5 by 11 size pages versus the Cameo, which does a 12 by 12. Now I can go back to my design page settings, and I want to talk for a second about these borders right here. First of all, I'll turn on Show Print Border. This is the gray border. This is the maximum area that you can place your print image. If you go over that, it will not print it correctly. The second most important thing if you're going to do print then cut is your cut border. Now that's this red border, and you need to stay within this border in order to print and then cut it properly. The other thing to be aware of is the registration mark area here. These hash marks, you cannot go in this gray hash mark area. If you do, it will not print or cut correctly either. So stay out of those areas and then you'll be fine. So now I can paste as many of these Valentines on this page as I can. I know from experience in doing this I can get 4. So click on the image, hit Control C to copy, click off, Control V as in Victor to paste, and you can arrange these then as you need, and you can just continue to hit Control V to get the paste image. So that looks pretty good. I'm ready to print this now, and once it's printed then I can set it on my mat and run it through the cutter and actually cut the rectangles out with my Valentine for each of these, and I'll get 4 every time I do this. So it makes it very quick to produce as many as you want here. 4 times you do this, you got 16. Very, very quick. Now to set it up for printing, I'm going to hit the print function. It's already choosing my printer. I'm going to change my preferences because I'm not going to use plain paper. That would suggest it's like a typing paper. I'm going to choose matte photo paper because that more closely matches the heaviness of a cardstock, and I'm sure that that changes the ink application. So I want to make sure that I can get as good a print as I can on that paper. And then I'm going to pick high print quality. It's 8.5 by 11 and it's portrait. That's all correct. And the cassette is just where my cardstock is going to be. So now I'm ready. I can just hit print, and that image here is going to print and be ready for me to cut. So I'll do that, and when I come back I'll show you how to set it up for cutting. Okay, I have printed my cardstock now and I'm ready to cut it. I've got it on the mat, I've loaded it into my machine, and now I'm ready to cut my rectangles. So in order to tell it to cut, I need to go up to the cut settings icon up here. I want to show this. If I had it on standard, these darker red lines is going to show where it's going to cut. I want the rectangle, but I do not want it to cut to and from out. So don't fall into that trap. Avoid that by hitting advanced. You see now we have the opportunity to cut black or red or both. If I had both, it would be cutting out the to and the from as well as the rectangle. By clicking off the black, I'm now only going to cut where the red rectangle is, and that's what we want. So make sure that you choose cardstock in this case. It might have said copy paper or whatever it was that you were using before. It may say the wrong kind of paper, so please pay attention to what it says there. You also need to make sure you set your blade to match what your material is going to need in order to cut properly. In my case, cardstock, I'm going to use a pretty heavy setting of 7 and a pretty thick setting because my cardstock's pretty heavy. You could also double cut this, but I know from using this cardstock a lot that if I have these settings for me, it works really well. Okay, I'm now ready to cut, and in order to do that I just need to hit the send to silhouette button down here, and that will then begin the cutting process. Okay, here I am now in Cricut Design Space, and this is where I'm going to create the mat that I use underneath my Valentines. So I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to insert an image. I'm going to go to a specific cartridge for this, and it's called Elegant Edges. This is kind of my go-to cartridge for mats. I almost always can find something that I can use in this, and we'll open that cartridge up. And then inside that cartridge I'm going to search for a rectangle because my Valentine is a rectangle, and when I change the size of my mat, proportions will be already set at rectangle and it will look better and won't get stretched weirdly or anything like that. So I'm going to insert that one. Let's make it bigger so we can see it. Obviously I don't want these butterflies on my Valentine. It's nice, but not for my particular need today. So I go to layers and I see there's actually 3 layers here. One of them has the eyeball turned off, so I turned it on and I can see them all. Next thing I'm going to do is ungroup them, and this way I can pull away and delete by hitting the delete key those mats I don't want. And now you can see I have one mat left. I'm going to change this color to red since that's the color of my mat. And now I want to make sure that this is the right size for my Valentine. So I'm going to go and edit and shape this by taking the proportion off so I can control its size, both width and height. And I'm going to make this 3.5 by 4.5 because my Valentine is 3 by 4. And this way I'll have 1/8 of an inch all the way around my rectangle, which represents my Valentine. Now I'll want to test that theory by inserting a shape, in this case a square, because you can't choose rectangle at this point. But I can influence this shape by taking off the proportion lock again and marking it as 3 by 4, the size of my Valentine. By going to layers, I'm going to change that color to white so it shows up nicely on my mat when I pull it over. And here we go. And it does look exactly the way I wanted. There's just a slight border around every edge, and we're good to go. So I'm going to delete that now because I don't need it. We're going to hit to go. I'm going to put 4 on a page and hit apply. Now I'm not going to use 12 by 12, I'm going to use 8.5 by 11 red cardstock. So there I am, ready to go. I hit go, and now software is looking for my Cricut Explore, which is wireless. It has found it now, and the cardstock is set as the paper type that I'm using, so I'm really ready to go at this point. When I come back, I'll show you my mats, and we'll put one together. So here we are with the printed, then cut Valentine. I actually have a couple of them here, so I'll remove one of them because I only need the one. And you can see from the print here, the to and the from. Remember I mentioned you wouldn't see the white space and the black. Well, I guess I lied a little. You can see it a little bit, but you can't make out much of those hash marks in the underline. So for my purposes, this is good, and I'm pleased with this image. And I use this to create about 30 of these so far, and it's been working very well. What I did after I printed this was I took a little bit of Wink of Stella pen and went over the gold coins here and the reflection. Let's see if I can't get that for you to see. It's very subtle, so you might not be able to pick it up. Alright, so now it's ready to go. This is the mat that we cut using the Cricut software, and now we can put these together. Center that where you want it to go. And there we have it. Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care and see you next time.